Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are here with the Aquarius Cup Guide. This is everything you need to know to succeed in the upcoming Aquarius Cup Champions Meeting. If this was helpful to you at all, remember to like and subscribe, and also use code MAMBO for 10% off gamer subs. Right now, they are having a promotion, I believe, from the 20th up to the 27th, where you could use code MAMBO for 20% off your gamer subs. Make sure you guys get your orders in. Let's get right into it. So, Aquarius Cup Guide. Aquarius Cup, this is the Champions Meeting. It is on a dirt track. We finally have a dirt CM. If you are wondering, if you want to do practice races, this is the February stakes. It is in Tokyo. It is on a dirt track. It is 1,600 meters, so it's a mile distance long. It's going to be left-handed, and it's firm, winter, and sunny. So, what is so special about this CM? What do we got to look out for? These are the green skills, okay? And not too much overlap here. It is quite a unique track. We are on dirt, but notably, none of these green skills change between turf and dirt, okay? So just to give you a heads up on that. Besides that, though, let's take a look at the track. So this is the track. Let me just go ahead and copy and paste it here. And this is what it looks like. So you see that we start on a bit of a straight, okay? We start on a bit of a straight, and then we go into a bigger straight. There's a huge downhill section, goes all the way up to here. Sorry, it wasn't that huge. But besides that, the last corner, okay? The last corner, what we have is we do have the late race starting. It is still on the corner, and so that means we are going to have angling and scheming. We're going to get Let's Pump Some Iron being very active on this track. Notably as well, the straight also starts pretty early on in this late race acceleration zone. So Straightaway Spurt is also going to be very strong. Let's take a look here at some of the skills that you guys are going to want to take note of. So if you are a front runner or a pace chaser, groundwork is going to be good. Taking the lead is going to be very good for front runners. Try and get like 2 movement skills, obviously. Umamusume is going to help you get a pretty good speed, a good leg up against the competition. Helps you avoid the pace down mode. On top of this, we have red shift. It's not going to be very active here because the final corner, there's a lot of distance to cover from the final corner start into the late race acceleration zone, okay? Shooting for victory is going to be bad if you buy it, if you are inheriting it, but it will be good on Taiki Shuttle herself. Again, angling and scheming are going to be key acceleration skills, as well as Straightaway Spurt. Highlander is also going to be very good. Why is that? Is because this uphill starts very early on at the same exact time as the straight for this track. So it's actually really nice. Moxie as well is going to be very good for specifically Christmas Oguri. We also would like to have updrafters. That's a mile distance acceleration skill. And one thing to note about this track that is very unique to all the other CMs is that this home stretch, this last straight is very, very long. So Guts may play a pretty big important part. Now, that being said, Guts is usually a stat that you will sacrifice first to try and get the other stats, speed, stamina, power, right, as well as wit. But Guts may play a large role here just because it is such a long distance, and you're going to see a lot of dueling at the very end, okay? Take a look here. We do have a pretty big downhill section and also a very huge uphill section, so power is going to be very, very strong. Beyond not proc, yes, Beyond, moving past and Beyond is not going to activate, so do not buy it on Medjuro Dober. Or rather, do not inherit for Medjuro Dober's unique skill, okay? Moving on, let's take a look at the stat thresholds. It is speed and stamina. Speed and stamina are the thresholds, which is pretty okay considering it's a mile distance track. So you're going to want to have this number, 614, for your stamina if you want to make sure that you're covering your bad moods. And obviously, you're going to cap out on speed, okay? You're not going to get the entire stat boost, but that being said, it's not really worth it to try and get 920 stamina for this track. So here are the stat requirements. These are the ideals, and now the ideal stat requirements is obviously going to kind of point you in the direction of what is the high priority. It's not going to be like, oh, if you can't get 1200 speed, it's not usable. No, just have as many speed cards as you have in your deck. Typically, you're going to want to see like 2 or 3 for the CM, I believe, and see what the largest speed set you can get out of that is out of all your runs. Okay, we want the most speed. We want a good chunk of power because, again, that uphill section is not only steep, it is huge. It is large. Okay, wit is going to take a backseat to power here, right? And the stamina, we want stamina to be 614. That's going to give you enough stamina to complete the track. Guts is kind of whatever. Okay, guts can be whatever. And this is the minimum stat requirements. Okay, if you can't make the 614, at least make 578 stamina. At least make 578 stamina to complete the course. Okay, now that all said, let's go ahead and move on to the next section. We're going to talk about skills for different strategies. Okay, first of all, if we want a summary of like which strategies are very good, which are bad, front runners are going to be very good. Runaway, or the only runaway that we have, is not going to be good because Suzuka is just not very strong. Pace chasers are going to be strong. End closers are going to be strong because, again, we have Straightaway Spurt. We have Victoria per plancha for pace chasers. And late surgers should kind of be the weaker of the 4, right? But still very usable, okay? Now, if we take a look at the skills, Runaway would want these core skills, right? We're going to talk about very briefly some of the core skills. This is a new section in our guides. Tell you exactly like what skills do you want to see on Umas that are running the strategy, okay? Obviously, if you need acceleration, this is going to be your big piece of it as front runner. You want the angling and scheming, right? Victoria per plancha is also a acceleration skill, even though it has the icon of a speed skill, okay? One thing I want to note is that for Pace Chaser, yes, Taiki Shuttle's unique skill is very good, only on Taiki Shuttle though. So you're not going to buy it, and that's why it's not here in this section. For Pace Chasers, Mile Maven is going to be pretty good. Definitely want to try and get Mile Maven as well. Everyone is going to want to get Highlander, okay? This is a acceleration skill for uphills, all right? Here we go. We also have a lot of emphasis on corner skills. Christmas Oguri is going to be very strong. Why is she going to be very strong? Because there is a stamina recovery skill exclusive to front runners known as Moxie. Moxie is going to activate as soon as you hit that uphill, which, if you recall, is exactly almost where the acceleration, the late race begins. So Moxie is going to be very, very strong. Fill up the other 2 heals with whatever you like, but front runner Christmas Oguri is going to be very strong. That being said, she is going to be very hard to raise because of her aptitudes. Oguri Cap Christmas has F for front running, so on top of that, you need at least 1 thing for dirt. Good luck trying to get A on front running. I believe you need at least 1 inspiration. I believe you need 1 inspiration to hit for front runner Oguri Cap. That being said, very strong potential. Okay, it's the same as El Condor. Yes, it is the same as El Condor Pasa. Late surgers are gonna want Let's Pump Some Iron. They're gonna want Shadow Break. You're not gonna want the acceleration skill from Mejiro Dober. But other than that, pretty standard, pretty straightforward. Updrafters is going to be very strong. This is for mile distance, but it's also specifically for the late surger or Umas that are running behind the pack. So you're not going to see it in Pace Chaser sort of Umas, okay? Feel free to take a look at the other skills as well, but these are the core skills for each strategy that I recommend, that RBX recommends, okay? Now, if we take a look here at the decks for different strategies, okay, I wanted to give you guys some examples as well, okay, and some skeletons. So if you follow these sort of skeletons, these formats, you should be okay. Here are some examples. Front runners and Smart Falcon in particular, you're going to want to run that free-to-play Mihono Bourbon wit card. It's just the best wit card for front runners. Kitasan Black is going to be good. Borrow the Biko Pegasus to fill up that extra speed, right? Daitaku Healers has very good mile skills as a power card. Marvelous Sunday is just good because you have skill point bonus. And of course, you want Rico to try and hit your stamina. It's going to be really easy to make the stamina stat. Remember, it's around 614 with just Rico as your friend. Either if you have a Limit Break 2 SSR Rico or Maximum Break Rare Rico. Page Chaser Pasa is going to want to have these cards as well. Can make the stats with these, no problem. Late Surger Haru Urara. She's going to need an extra speed card. Okay, she's going to need an extra speed card in order to make her speed stat because she's going to want to borrow this Nice Nature Wit card because it has, I believe it on your left, a very key Late Surger acceleration skill. End Closer Digital, Agnes Digital, is going to want to run this deck. Specifically, this Hishi Amazon power card is going to be nice because it offers Straightaway Spurt, which is a key acceleration skill for any end closer, okay? And yes, this is on your left. All right. That said, here we have some options here as well for your cards. What kind of speed cards are you looking for? What kind of power cards are you looking for to fill in these sort of skeletons if you don't have these exact cards for your Umas? Wit cards as well, and friend cards. I wouldn't recommend Tazuna totally, but if you have like a good Limit Break version, totally viable to do. Definitely, as long as we have the Unity Cup scenario, she still offers quite a bit of a value. Borrow slots are going to be Biko Pegasus if you need that extra speed. If you're trying to run like 2 speed cards, Biko Pegasus is the answer. Vodka has good mile skills, very good power stat stick. Smart Falcon is great for front runners, and as well, Fine Motion, Nice Nature, very key wit cards, and Rico is pretty good. I would probably not borrow Rico in place of like using a rare Rico, but if you're having trouble making stamina, could definitely be an option. Okay. That all said, let's take a look at the Uma tier list. So, what are the Umas you're going to see the most? These are the 1 or 2 star Umas. You're not going to see Mambo. Okay, we just like to have Mambo here. But for 1 or 2 star Umas, there's only really like 2. Okay? Everyone else, it's going to be really hard for them to make the aptitudes. And so you're going to see a lot of El Condor Pasa. You're also going to see a lot of Haru Urara. Okay? These are going to be the most common ones. The strongest of the two, or like the strategies, is going to be Front Runner El Condor Pasa. Page Chaser is fine though, perfectly fine. If you don't want to put in that much effort, you're gonna have a pretty good Uma. Also, Late Surger or End Closer Haru Urara will be perfectly fine to run as well. Okay, moving on, we have 3-star Uma tier list. Okay, we have Agnes Digital taking the first place spot as the End Closer sort of Uma for this track. She has good dirt affinity, and so you're going to see her a lot, especially with the Straightaway Spurt. She also has natural Uma stand. I think she has the gold version of it as well. Smart Falcon is going to be easy to raise this time around. Like, you see Smart Falcon appearing a lot on turf tracks. Now she's on her home turf, that being dirt. Okay, so you're going to see a lot of Smart Falcons because it's just so easy to raise her. She's already built for the dirt. She's built for the mile. She's built for front running. This is like her home turf, her home dirt, if you will. Christmas Oguri Cap is going to be very strong as well. So you're going to see hopefully like some of her. Again, make note that anyone that has this sort of icon is going to be difficult to raise. And so like, we also have Mihono Bourbon being a pretty good Uma for this track. She just has really good skills, focus. You have Frontrunner Savvy, Escape Artist, Groundwork, Concentration, right? Maybe not concentration is a little too expensive, but that being said, it's extremely difficult. Extremely, extraordinarily difficult. You need at least 1 slot of your pink sort of sparks to go into mile, and then everything else kind of goes into dirt, and you need to hit 2 inspirations for it, which is incredibly difficult. But I mean, if you could do it, hey, hats off to you. Good luck. Besides that, Taiki Shuttle is going to be very strong. Her unique skill is going to be totally fine, but on her own self, not borrowed by anyone else or inherited. New Year Haru Urara is also going to be making an appearance. She has a pretty nice speed unique skill that's also fairly unique in that it takes the distance between her and the person in first place and give her a speed boost with a duration that is sort of proportional to that distance. You're going to see a lot of Summer Maruzensky as like the other front runner for Summer, or rather for Smart Falcon. Oguri Caps are going to be very abundant because she's also very easy to raise thanks to her B Dirt rating. On top of that, you have some other Umas that are worthy of mentioning. Hishi Amazon has Straightaway Spurt. She has very good end closers passives. You also have Late Surger, El Condor Pasa, the fantasy version, which is definitely different, right? However, I believe her unique skill will be able to activate as long as it's a little deeper, right? She should be fine. And you have anything between 4th and 7th place activating. It's a very good acceleration skill, but she's not going to find herself too high on the list, obviously. Fuji Kiseki is also very good for mile, but, you know, just take and keep in mind that a lot of these Umas do not have very good dirt ratings, so you're in for a ride in terms of, like, getting their affinities up. I believe, though, those Umas, like Hishi Amazon, it's okay. Like, E dirt rating is not bad. F is really bad, but E dirt rating isn't bad because I believe you could get to A with just sparks and you don't need to hit inspirations. It's when you have F where you need 1 inspiration, G you need to hit 2 inspirations. So like you'll see Hishi Amazon, or rather she is definitely a lot more viable to run than a lot of the other Umamusumes. Okay, you need to hit 1 inspiration for Fuji Kiseki, but she has really good skills. You got shifting gears, big sisterly, mile corners, right? It's amazing. So it's definitely worth the effort. Okay. Besides that, the inherits, if you're trying to make an Uma, you're going to want to use Saiyan Sky as a parent for any frontrunner. Obviously, Measure Orion. Nothing too different, nothing too crazy here. El Condor Pasa is going to be the king sort of parent for frontrunners and pace chasers because of Victoria per Plancha. You also have the typical sort of velocity uniques in Simply Rudolph, Oguri Cap, as well as Nadita Brian, very usable. And TM Opera O, the New Year edition, as well, has a pretty nice unique to offer. This one is relatively new to a lot of people. And Barcarolle of Blessings, it is a sort of unique skill in that you could have a great Lee boost. If you inherit it, it's going to be like 25, but still pretty good. And that's when and after you've activated 7 skills on the 400 meter mark, which again, like the home stretch is very long. So any of these sort of like last stretch, last straight sort of skills that get your Uma to sort of, how would you say it, fight for that first place position at the very end is going to be very impactful for sure. All right, so another thing to mention with TM Opera O's unique skill, keep in mind that green skills do count towards this activation count. So that's going to be very nice, especially for front runners, because they typically have 3 green skills for groundwork. So that's already 4 skills right there, right? And also I want to mention before we like end this segment is that the skill belonging to Mummy Super Creek, who did have a lot of usage in the previous CM, however, is not going to be very good in this one. And the reason why is because the last CM, the late race started on the straight. So there is like a very little margin of sort of like error or just not the Mummy Creek unique skill activating. But because this track has the straight starting just a little bit in, right? Mummy Creek's unique skill is not going to be consistent enough nor powerful enough for it to warrant a slot in a lot of your Umamusume. Okay, I would definitely value Simply Rudolph, Oguri Cap, Nadita Brian, or even TM Opera O over Super Creek, just because they're going to have a lot more impact on that final stretch. The velocity for it. Okay, so that being said, yes, we're gonna get rid of Mummy Super Creek. It's not gonna be that grid, unfortunately. But that being said, that should about cover it. If you guys have any questions, make sure you guys let me know in the comments below. If you have corrections too, that's totally fine. And also, remember to like and subscribe. Use code MAMA for 10% off. It's going to be 20% off for a limited time for your gamer subs. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.